Thank you so much, Vani. Thank you for that introduction. And thank you all for bringing me on this particular platform time again and again. Today's topic is the path of devotion, and the text that I have chosen to bring some light to this particular topic is authored by Sri Madhusudana Saraswati, who in the lineage of Shankaracharya Bhagavan stands as a brilliant star, and his work, particularly the Advaita Siddhi, is a phenomenal work, though it may not be accessible to a lot of naive and beginners, but to the scholars and to the people who have dedicated their life to the contemplation on Vedanta, Advaita Siddhi is indeed unique. In fact, just as we say that there is Prasthanatraya, which means Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, and the Brahma Sutra. To put the sequence correctly, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutra. This becomes the Prasthanatraya, Moola Prasthana. Along with it, in the tradition of the Mahatmas, there is something called as the Brihat Prasthana. And in the Brihat Prasthana Traya, Advaita Siddhi is one of the texts, so we can really understand the teacher from where I have imported today's, some topics, is indeed a great exponent, a great teacher, a great spiritual illuminary. His work is this particular, though small, but a very significant work. It is called as the Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayanam. And people who do not even belong to the tradition of Bhagavan Shankaracharyas, who have alienated themselves belonging to the various other traditions too, also rely upon this work to draw their understanding. So it is indeed one of the greatest books, Bhagavad Bhakti Rasayanam. So this is just the background, and we will begin with a prayer of invocation. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Devamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamshrishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhya Sarvopaplavarahitaha Prajnana Ghanaha Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nagendra Sanghapavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohadvanta Divakaraya Bhagavat Padabhidham Viprate Tasmai Bhashyakate Namostu Satatam Purnaya Bodhatmane. a very popular verse which is often chanted, recited by people, whether they belong to the Karmakanda or doing any Karmakanda or just even to begin your day with, which says that Bhagavan Shri Hari, Paramatma, is the Mangalayatana, is the very abode of all auspiciousness. And therefore, those people in whose heart Bhagavan resides, there is indeed nothing that can be called as inauspicious in their life. So here that verse goes, Sarvada sarvakaryeshu nasti tesham amangalam yesham hridayastho bhagavan mangalayatano harihi. Sarvada sarvakaryeshu, no matter what you are doing, everything that is your karyam, kartavyam, there can be nothing, no moment, no event can ever be called as inauspicious for a devotee, because the very abode of all auspiciousness, Bhagavan Mangalayatana Hari, resides in their heart. And so therefore, everything indeed becomes great, a source of joy, eliminating every trace of dukkham. Even it eliminates even the memory of dukkham. Such is the effect, such is the prabhava of bringing the Lord in your heart. Proktena bhakti yogena bhajato ma sakran mune kamardaya hridayan nashyanti sarve mayridisthite. Now what is it that is amangalam, which is bringing inauspiciousness or dukkham? To a Viveki, it is not some person or some event of some loss, but in fact it is the kama in the sense, the various desires, legitimate or illegitimate, whatever may be the form of those desires. Those desires once have taken the prominence in your psychology, it inevitably will bring dukkham. But what happens here with the bhakti yoga is proktena bhakti yogena. Now that bhakti yoga, which has been expounded, even imparted by the teachers, when a person bhajato ma sakran mune, he muni, so now that person who thus devotes himself to me in the sense Bhagavan, because this is a verse that Bhagavan is even kama hridaya nashyanti, all those kamanas, all those desires which have penetrated right deep into even the unconscious level of a person's psychology, will be eliminated. Kama hridaya nashyanti sarve mayridisthite. Thus, having brought the Lord, just as we had this Ganesh festival some days ago, and you must have observed that, we bring the Parthiv Ganesh, and the idol made of clay, is brought at home in the month of Bhadrapad and is worshipped. And then when Ganesha arrives, the atmosphere in the house itself becomes a very festive atmosphere. So also if this can be the effect in the physical outside world, when the Lord comes into your heart, every cell of your being will dance with joy, and therefore those all that is the very cause of inauspiciousness of the dukkham, the kamana is eliminated. That is what is said. And so thus bhakti yoga, the bhakti, is something which one should strive for. That what is strived for in life is called as Purushartha. And therefore, in this particular book, Shri Madhusudana Saraswati brings to our notice that how bhakti is also a Purushartha. Generally, what we have heard is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha is the only Purushartha, are the only Purusharthas, that what is to be attained. But Madhusudan Saraswati over here, with all the Shastra, revolutionizes our thinking and brings to our notice that yes, it is bhakti also can be called as a Purushartha. And then he does not hesitate to bring bhakti as samakaksha, as equal to moksha Purushartha. All over in Bhagavad Gita, we discover that bhakti has been also called as the means to knowledge, which is bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yashjasmi tattvataha. So now, in order to know Parameshwara, bhakti becomes the means. But over here, through all various shastras that he has gone through and brought to us, he makes us understand how this bhakti is also not only the means, but also the end of human life, and in the sense, the very goal of human life. So thus he says, Bhakti Yoga is Paramam. Paramam in the sense, Niratishaya Purushartham Vadanti Rasayyaha. The Rasayas, those who have an understanding about the joy of life, are able to show us that this bhakti is Niratishayam Purushartham, is also a Niratishaya Purushartha. In the sense, it is a Purushartha which is without any clauses attached to it. Niratishayam, which is, there is nothing that can be called now as anything more than that. Generally, this definition goes to for moksha Purushartha. And so here he brings bhakti as this samakaksha, on the equal platform of moksha itself. And he says, he brings us these few verses from Bhagavata Puranam and says, Tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogino vai madatmanaha nashyanam nacha vairagyam prayashreyo bhavediha. Now he who is endowed with this bhakti, with this love for God, tasmat bhakti yuktasya yogino vai madatmanaha, and those who have offered their whole being to Parameshwara, Nashyanam Nachavairagyam, to them, now they don't see any, whether it is the knowledge, the scriptural knowledge, etc., or even Vairagyam as the very means of attaining the highest Shreya. Nashyanam Nachavairagyam Prayashreyo Bhavediha. This does not become their priority. Why is it? So is it that knowledge, wisdom, viveka, And Vairagya is something which is disowned by those people? No, sir. Because this knowledge and Vairagya will come naturally to them. Yat karma bhir yat tapasa jnana vairagya dasyayat yogena dana dharmena shreyo bhiriti tairapi sarvam madbhakti yogena madbhakto labhate jasa swarga varagam madhama kathanchid yadivanchati. All that can be attained through karma yoga. Karma bhihi tapasa, that what is attained even by great austerities, by through the tapas, jnana vairagya taschayat, through jnanam and through vairagyam also, or even through samadhi, dana dharmena, it is through the dana dharma also. Sarvam madbhakti yogena, all that is very easily labhate anjasa, effortlessly it comes to them. Bhakti yogena madbhakto labhate anjasa, my devotee attains that, all that without any effort. Swarga pavaragam madhama kathanchid yadivanchati, and even if he may desire swarga or moksha, or he may even desire attaining some celestial world, that also can be attained. Nakinchit sadhavo dhiraha bhakta ekantino mama grinhanti grinhantyapi maya dattam kaivalyam punarbhavam. Now those sadhus who are bhaktaha ekantino mama, those who are with ekantika bhakta, means totally devoted, single dedicated to Paramatma, even if God gives them moksha, they say, we want your bhakti alone. Grinhantyapi maya na grinhantye maya dattam kaivalyam punarbhavam nairapeksham param prahu nishreyasamanalpakam tasman nirashisho bhaktihi nirapekshasya me bhaved. And therefore now those who desire nothing of this world or even of any other world or anything else, they desire nothing but only devotion to me. Na mahi ekanta bhaktanam anga bhaktanam gunatoshodbhava gunaha sadhunam samachittanam buddhe upeyusham. So thus those who are totally, absolutely dedicated to God, for those bhaktas, the gunadoshas of this world also never come to them, generated by these gunas, the sattva, raja, tama. There is no sangha to them, and that's why this bhakti indeed is something which will take away all the inauspiciousness from the life and bestow upon that person that which is absolutely auspicious. Mangala yatano hari. So thus, in this way, Madhusudan Saraswati brings to us that bhakti also can be called as Purushartha. He says, Navarasamilitam va kevalam va pumartham paramiha mukunde bhakti yoge vadanti nirupama sukha samved rupama sprishta dukkham tamaham akhila tushtyaih shastra drishtya vyanajmi. I shall expound over here in this particular book, in the sense Madhusudan Saraswati says, that I shall expound over here through Shastra Drishti how this bhakti becomes the Purushartha. For something to be called as Purushartha, it should carry these two attributes, and which means sukha prapti or dukkha nivritti should be there. And so does bhakti have this, because of which bhakti can ever be called as, bhakti can be called as Paramapurusha, as Purushartha, and also Paramapurushartha. So, what is this Paramapurushartha? So he refuses over here to even to recognize that Dukkha Nivritti. He says Sukham is what is called as Purushartha. Dukkha Sambhinna Sukham hi Paramapurushartha iti Sarvatantra Siddhanta. Sarvatantra, amongst all the darshankaras, all the teachers, from all the grounds, all the backgrounds, whether it is the Buddhas or even the Jainas, the Vaidika darshankaras also agree on one point, and that is when they say what can be called as Purushartha, how this Purushartha is achieved and what does it really mean, there may be differences. But that Moksha Purushartha, except for these Charvakas, the rest of them are on agreement with this Dukkha Asabhinnam Sukham, that Sukham which is not pierced, which is not contaminated, which is not polluted by Dukkham, in the sense its shadow or a lingering sense of Dukkham is also not left. That Sukham is called as Paramapurushartha. That is what is called as Nirvana by the Buddhas, Kaivalyam by the Jainas, Kaivalyam also by but definition of Kaivalyam is different, by the Patanjala yogis, by the Purva Mimamsakas, by the Naiyayikas, and even by the Vedantins. This is what is called as Paramapurushartha iti Sarvatantra Siddhanta. Now he says, Dharmartha Kama Mokshash Chatvarah Purusharthaha iti Prasiddhihi. Now that what is mostly, it is what is popular and mostly accepted is that there's only 4 Purusharthas. From where have you brought Bhakti as a Purushartha, sir? Iti Prasiddhihi. And he says, how is this Prasiddhi? That it is a Prasiddhi only for the sake, for the namesake. How come? He gives you a very interesting example. And he says, Langalam mamachivanam itivat. Because he's giving an example of those days, where for a farmer, the farmer is going to say the Nangal. Langal means the plow. The plow is very important, without which how will he do? So he says, this Langalam is mama chivanam. Just as today somebody may, in our days, present days, somebody may purchase a very expensive car. Porsche. And then he may say, this is my life. This is now him saying that this is my life. This is my love. Now, it is only what? Saying. Now, if that car gets destroyed, not that this man is going to be destroyed. Or the car meets with an accident, it is not that this man is suddenly going to become lame or something. No, nothing. Langalam mama jivanam is just a way of saying. So this Prasiddhi, that Dharmartha Kama Moksha are only Chatvarah Purushartha, is only Prasiddhi. Itivat Sadhane Phalatva Vachanad Aupachariki. This is to call the sadhana as the phala is a aupachariki. Atona sukhameva purushartha iti pakshahani. And therefore, really speaking, what can be called as Purushartha? Purushartha means that what is desired by a person to be attained. And what does he really want to attain? It is not dharma, artha, etc. He wants to attain sukham. That is what is true. Ato, ataha, sukhameva purusharthaha. So that what he has claimed, that sukham alone is purushartha, itina pakshahanihi. So that what he has said remains unrefuted. Iti. Okay. Then furthermore, he says, Bhagavad Bhakti Yogasya api dukkha asambhinna sukhatvena eva paramapurusharthatvam aha nirupama sukha samved rupamiti. And therefore, Bhakti Yoga also can be called as Paramapurushartha. So how has he led our thought to understand that Bhakti is also Purushartha? That basically what is called as Purushartha is, in the true sense of that word, means only Sukham. That what is truly desired. No, it could be an Indian. It doesn't need to be only a Hindu or a Vaidika to desire Sukham. You can be an Eskimo, or a person who has not known even the modern civilization, living somewhere in some tribe in some forest of Amazon or Andaman or somewhere down there. So even such a person will also desire Sukham, and therefore Sukham is truly Purushartha. How Bhakti becomes Purushartha? Because Bhakti is called as not just Purushartha, but is Paramapurushartha. Is Paramapurushartha. Why? Bhagavad Bhakti Yogasyapi, because this Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga also, because just saying Bhakti, where somebody can say, well, I am devoted, I am a devotee, I am a worshipper of money. No, for that person, that's why he has to make it very clear. Bhagavad Bhakti Yogasya, that Bhakti Yoga is due to whom? To Paramatma. So Bhagavad Bhakti Yogasyapi dukkha asambhinna sukhatvena eva paramapurusharthatvam aha iti. So here he says, Madhusudan Saraswati, that how is this Bhakti Yoga? Nirupama Sukha Samvid. Where does he say that? Navarasamilitam va kevalam va pumartham paramiha mukunde Bhakti Yogam vadanti Nirupama Sukha Samvid Samvid Rupamasprishta Dukkham Tamahamakhila Tushyai Shastra Drishtya Vyanachmi. He says, Navarasamilitam va kevalam va pumartham. This pumartha, purushartha, which is now Bhakti Yoga, it could be there are Navarasamilitam athva keval, only Bhakti Rasa is there. Bhakti Rasa is there. And when that Bhakti Yoga meets or goes and joins Bhagavan Mukunda, then what happens? That itself is Nirupama Sukha Samved Rupam. It is a Sukha Samved, it is the consciousness of Sukham. And it is Nirupamam, that it cannot be shown through any metaphor, similes, or any comparison. Nirupama Sukha Samved Rupama Sprishta Dukkham. And why does it become Paramapurushartha? Because it is without any asprishtam, dukkha sansprishtam. And that's why Tamahamakhila Tushtyayi. And this I am bringing it for all in general. Because what happens with Vedanta? The adhikari of Vedanta is the one who is endowed with Viveka, Vairagya, and all those qualifications are required. But over here for Bhakti, anybody, anyone from any walk of life is the patra of Bhakti, and therefore Akhila Tushtyayi. and for the tushti, santushti of all, satisfaction of all, here I am expounding it, that Bhakti Yoga through the Shastra Drishti. Iti Sarva Siddhantaha. Iti. एतेन भक्ति योग भक्ति ही न पुरुषार्थः धर्मार्थ काम मोक्षेषु अनंतर भावाद इत्यादिकम सर्वम अपास्तम. Thus, by showing you how bhakti becomes the purushartha and also can be called as parama purushartha, to which several objections, that objection which was raised, that purusharthas are only four, and but therefore there is no space for bhakti to be called as purushartha or even parama purushartha. So that claim has been refuted. Sarvam apastam. Besides that, dharma artha kamanam swatah purushartha bhava. Now, if you actually see that dharma, artha, and kama, all these three, they are actually not purusharthas, because purushartha is sukham. And these swarga, etc., whether it is the swarga, stri, putra, etc., what happens with them? That they are the means, they are seen, perceived as the means for that sukham, and therefore it is desired. Why is swarga desired? So that all these terrorists are blasting bombs everywhere because they want to go to that swarga, their own bahishta. Over there, their paradise, whatever it may be called. And why? Because they are promised that there is sukham over there. So they are not desiring paradise; they are desiring sukham over there, which is lodged in that particular place spot. So dharmartha kamanam swata purusharthatva bhavat. Dharmartha kama moksha by itself does not have the status of being purushartha. Janya sukhasya eva purusharthatve. But the sukham which is generated by them is actually the purushartha. That what is desired by a man in the sense a person. Iti gauravad ananugamach dharmajanyatvadi visheshanam parityajya sukhamatram purushartha iti sthite. And therefore now what happens, that sukham which is attained through dharma. So now that sukhajanyatva becomes dharmajanyatva becomes the visheshanam for the sukham. Kamajanya sukham, arthajanya sukham. Now all those visheshanas, if all these what do they call adjectives are removed from there, then what is really desired is sukham. And therefore sukhamatram purushartha iti sthite. Thus this is what is the ground reality. Iti sthite samadhi sukhasyaiva bhakti sukhasyapi swatantra purusharthatvat. Now just as the samadhi sukham, now this samadhi sukham is also desired. So the yogi does not say that this samadhi sukha is something which will be attained later on when I reach swarga. Or it is a sukham which comes through some stri putradi. No, nothing, or money. No, nothing. Samadhi sukhasya iva bhakti sukhasya pi swatantra purusharthatva. Tasya moksha samipa vartitaya mokshantar bhutatve yogaja dharmajanyataya dharmantar bhutatveva bhakti sukhasyapi bhagavata dharma janyataya dharmantara bhavasya shraddha jadan prativaktum shakyatva. Now those who are refusing to accept that there can be anything there can be nothing other than moksha which can be called as Paramapurushartha. He says, for your sake, Shraddha Jadan, those whose buddhi has become Jada, because of Shraddha. Generally, Shraddha is something that should give chalana to the buddhi, because this is how Bhagavan Shankaracharya defines Shraddha. And he says that yaya vastu upalabhyate, sa Shraddha kathita sadbhi yaya vastu upalabhyate. Your belief, your faith is something which should propel you on the path of knowledge, because of which, and that becomes your propelling force, and because of which, therefore, moksha, Paramatma is attained. Yaya vastu upalabhyate. Vastu means that what is the real. Upalabhyate. So Shraddha over there becomes a propelling force. But in some cases, Shraddha becomes even and hindrance. Some people Shraddha, that becomes, so that Shraddha is not an accepted Shraddha, at least in Vedanta. It may be faith, it may be a belief, but it is kind of an hindrance. Similarly, over here, those who are of that opinion that moksha alone is called as the Paramapurushartha, so for them it is said, tasya moksha samipavartitaya. Now, because of it being close to the moksha, what samadhi sukha? Mokshantar bhutatve. It can be brought under the moksha purushartha. Mokshantar bhutatve yogaja dharmajanyataya dharmantar bhutatve. Now, in the Yoga Sutras, it is said that this particular sukham of samadhi is not because of some punya. So it is not because of karma, and therefore it is yogasha dharma. It is not dharma which is given by the karma kanda, etc. But it is the dharma which is yogasha dharma, born of yoga. And therefore dharmantar bhutatve, let it be brought under dharma, or it could be brought under moksha purushartha. Similarly, bhutatveva bhakti sukhasyapi bhagavata dharma janyataya, because this bhakti sukha is also that is something that is generated by bhagavata dharma, and therefore let it be brought under dharma purushartha. Shraddha jadan prati vaktum shakyatvat. Bhaktasya samsara mokshasya avashyakatvan mokshantargato va bhakti yogaha. Now those who have devotion for Paramatma, not that they are going to stay over here in this samsara, they will also be released. Bhaktasya samsara mokshasya avashyakatvat mokshantargato va bhakti yogaha. So just as it can be brought under dharma purushartha, because it is Bhagavata dharma generated, or even it can be brought under moksha dharma. Iti va bhakti yoga. Tasmat purushartha chatushthayantar gatatvena va swatantrena va bhakti yoga purushartha paramananda rupatva iti nirvivadam. Here Madhusudan Saraswati brings, this is a very revolutionary statement. Revolutionary in the sense it is in the Acharya Parampara, it is well respected text as well as the Acharya. But to bring to our notice and make us understand that either give Bhakti Yoga the treatment of bringing it under the four headings of the Purusharthas, or give it a treatment of being a separate Swatantra Purushartha. Swatantrena va Bhakti Yoga Purushartha. This Bhakti Yoga becomes a Swatantra Purushartha. This is wonderful. Purushartha Paramananda Rupatvat. Because how is it? Paramananda Rupaha. Iti Nirvivadam. And therefore there is no further scope for any arguments over here. Iti Nirvivadam. Iti, that is what is said over here. Then further. Okay, yeah. Ke punaha bhakti yogasya pumarthatvavadaha. Now, actually, what I'm bringing to you is kind of a little trailer of this particular text. Okay. Because I recently found that the text was always there, but my interest in it and came to my notice quite late. So I myself was quite excited about this particular text when I found it. I said, "Oh my God, this is something wonderful." Ke punarbhakti yogasya pumarthatvavadaha. What are those vadas which, or vadas in the sense, what are those statements because of which now bhakti yoga can be called as purushartha shrunutah? Listen to these. And here he says, na hyato shiva pantha vishata samsrita viha vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yogo yato bhave. Srimad Bhagavad Purana, he brings profusely. And he says, Nahiye yato anya shiva pantha. There is no other auspicious marga, path. Na yato anya shiva pantha vishataha samsritau iha. Now those who have already entered into this samsara, identified with this body, and thus has become what? Aham karta, aham bhokta, I'm born, I'm going to die, I'm old, I'm young, I'm man, woman, with all these kind of things which is carrying already for anybody thus who has fallen into this trap of the samsara, samsriti. What is there? There is no other marga. What is that path? Pantha Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhaved, that by which there will be Bhakti Yoga towards Bhagavan Vasudeva. Dharma Pumsam Vishwaksena Katha Suyaha Notpadayed Yatiratim Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. Now a person maybe, there are people, right, who are of the opinion, what is this Bhagavad Gita going to teach us? That Bhagavad Gita, your Upanishads, this Bhagavad Puranam, or any other sacred text of yours, what is it going to teach us? It is ultimately simply going to tell us that become a good person. I am already a good person. I pay my taxes, I help my neighbors, I'm loyal to my wife, I'm loving to my children, I do my work, I do not take any bribe. Oh, in a way, I am perfect. No, why do I need your spirituality? Some people have got this kind of an approach, right? They think that what is this Bhagavad Gita meant for? So that what is this Vedanta meant for? So that you can become a better person. I remember one very interesting conversation once had taken place with Pujya Swami Tejavananji when I was with him. So one gentleman had come and who had a very roaring practice of his, what do they call it, legal practice in Mumbai, in the High Court. So this gentleman had come and he told Swamiji, ever since I have started learning Vedanta, I have become a better lawyer. I have become a better lawyer, because he was indeed a very successful lawyer. I don't know whether that person is still there or not. He must be there. To which Swamiji laughed, he chuckled, and he said, in a rat race, even if you win the race, you still remain a rat. Even if you become a better lawyer, you still remain a lawyer. This is Brahma Vidya, which transforms the Jiva and shows him that he is Brahman, makes him complete. And what is this? So don't say that this is what is the result of Vedanta, that you have become a better person and all that. And therefore, dharma, svanushtita pumsam. So the person may be a very dharmic person, a very righteous person, living a very righteous life. And yet, with all his righteousness also, he does not have love for God. Dharma svanushtita pumsam vishwaksena kathasuyaha notpadayed yatiratim. If that does not invoke the revelation, not revelation, what do they call it? Revelry into the katha of Bhagwan. Vishwaksena katha suyahan notpadayed yatiratim. That rati, that the joy of reveling in it is not brought by your dharma, then what use is that dharma? Shramaeva hi kevalam. It is nothing but what? Shramaeva. This is very interesting. Dharma svanushtita pumsam vishwaksena katha suyaha notpadayed yadiratim shramaeva hi kevalam. दान व्रत तपो होम जप स्वाध्याय संयमैः श्रेयोभिर्विविधैः चान्यैः कृष्णे भक्तिर्हि साध्यते. Now through various spiritual practice that you may be doing, dana, vrata, tapa, homa, japa, swadhyaya, sanyama, to master the indriyas, etc. Shreyoभिर्विविधैश्चान्यैः. Now there are other practices also, spiritual practices, disciplines that you may be following in your life. Ultimately, where should it lead? Krishne bhaktirhi sadhyate. It should lead to devotion for God in your life. Bhaktirhi sadhyate. Bhagavan Brahma Katsnena trinvikshamanishyaya tadadyavasyat kutastho ratiratmanyato bhavet. That's over here. Bhagavan Brahma, Chaturmukha Brahma, Katsnena trinanviksha. He again and again, thrice at least, he saw everything, and then finally said, Adhyavasya Kutasthaha. And then he came to that final conclusion, Ratihi Atmani Yato Bhavet. What is called as dharma is that finally that which will give you Rati in this Paramatma. Etavaneva lokesmin pumsam nishrayasodaya tivrena bhakti yogena mano mayarpitam sthiram. This alone is the nishrayasa. If you want to ask what is the conclusion, what have you finally understood, what is your final understanding of your life, that you have gone through all these experiences, good, bad, success and failure and everything, joys and sorrows, where have you reached? Etavaneva lokesmin pumsam nishrayasodaya. And this is where that nishrayasa, the ultimate good of life, will come to rise. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Now that bhakti yoga with its intensity, when that bhakti yoga with the intensity, offers the mind to Bhagavan, Mayarpitam Sthiram iti. इत्यादयः अत्र सर्व सुकृत साध्यत्वेन तात्पर्य विषयत्वेन च अर्थात् निश्रेयस निर्वृत्ति शब्दाभ्यां च साक्षादेव पुरुषार्थत्वं दर्शितम्. Now that Bhagavad Mahapuran, without any miserliness, is able to show that this bhakti yoga is the Purushartha, because through the dharma also bhakti is reached. Through all the spiritual disciplines, bhakti is reached. And that is what is the ultimate tatparya of our life also. And therefore, arthat, finally, shabdat, in different words it has been said, but what is meant also is nishreyasa nirvrati shabdabhyam Sakshadeva Purusharthatvam Darshitam, that in Sakshat Purushartha If this bhakti is the sakshat purushartha, is what is shown. So also Bhagavan himself in Bhagavad Gita says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Now ultimately, even through all the yogas, which yogi is considered to be the highest? So he who is Shraddhavan Mam Bhajate, he who thus has devotion for the God, is called as the Yuktatamaha, is the Yuktatama, endowed with the highest yoga. Yuktatamaha Mataha Ityadina. Nanu Bhakti Yogasya Sadhanattvamapi Bodhayantyanyevadaha. But sir, don't we find that Bhakti Yoga is also called as a sadhanam? This is, of course, Bhakti Yoga is also called as sadhanam. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanancha Yadahaitukam. Now this Bhakti Yoga directed towards Bhagavan, what happens with that? Janayati ashu vairagyam. Immediately it brings into your life the light of knowledge and this dispassion, which is a great quality. I will tell you something about this one word vairagya, because generally, how much more time do we have? Also, how much more time do we have? 6:30 we started.
We have another 20 to 25
20
minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes. Let's hold it that way. So, people have a little fear of this word vairagya. Oh, we'll have vairagya. That means we will all become Babaji, smear some ash on the head, wear these geru clothes and go and sit in Rishikesh, Haridwar, Kashi somewhere. Sir, you understand what does this term mean? I will not go into the grammatical vyutpatti, etymology and all that. But you understand what it ultimately means is that when you are able to set your happiness free, when you are able to say that I don't have to depend on an apple or a mango, I'm just giving an example, or for that matter, any object, any person, any situation, to be happy and to be peaceful. This is what is the psychology, which this psychology is called as vairagya. Wherein your happiness, you discover that is not going to be dependent. It is not any condition. Only when there is apple will I be happy. Then only when there is apple, you are not going to find apple in every season and everywhere. And even if you are going to find it all 12 months and around 7 days, you will be bored with it. And therefore, ultimately, that what you called also as the condition for your happiness becomes a condition for your sadness later on. And so when you are able to set it, when that psychology becomes free from making your happiness, making your peace dependent on anything, then that attitude, that psychology is called as vairagyam. So over here, what happens with this bhakti yoga? That bhakti yoga, janayati ashu vairagyam. It generates this vairagyam, jnanam cha, and also jnanam, ahaitukam vairagyam, ahaitukam jnanam api janayati iti. And therefore, akama sarvakamo va moksha kama udaratihi tivrena bhakti yogena ayajeta purusham param. Now, if you have to draw and say, what is the conclusion of your spiritual understanding? This is it. Akama sarvakamo va. A person may be akama, bereft of any desires, worldly, celestial, whatever. And there akamaha, sarvakamo, he may have kama for everything. He desires everything. Sarvakamo, or he may be moksha kama, like Nachiketa. mokshakama udarathihi. Because such a person who is mokshakama is called as udara. You should know that. Chaturvida bhajante mam. And in that shlok, Bhagavan calls them as udara. Because that word udara is in contrast with the word which is put in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that he who dies without knowing Paramatma in any which way, saguna nirguna, he who thus dies in the sense he perishes without this iota. All that he had was money and pleasures and this popularity and my status and all this. He has no place for Parameshwara in his life. Such a person, that Upanishad is going to say that he is what? A miser, because he has wasted his life. Just as a miser wastes the money, he may have money. So even he does not want to take medicines because it will cost him money. What is the use of your money if you can't even buy your own medicines? Like that, what is the use of this life if that life is not able to show you Parameshwara or the path to Parameshwara? And therefore, those people are called as misers. So who is a udara? So he who abundantly uses his life, utilizes it well. So what is that good utilization of life? This is it. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Now through this Tivra Bhakti Yoga, let him worship the Parama Purushaha. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti katsnena niharam iva bhaskaraha. And then some bhakta is there. Kevalaya bhaktya, it is only through this bhakti, because those people are how? Vasudeva parayanaha. They are Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agham dhunvanti katsnena. They wash away all the sins, because those sins are something that is going to bring suffering in life. And therefore, agham dhunvanti katsnena paripurnena katsnena niharam iva bhaskaraha. Like when the sun rises, it will dispel away all the darkness of the night. Like that, this bhakti will remove all the agha means papa. So also, Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita, bhaktya mam avijanati yavan yashchasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato shyatva vishate tadantaram. What are we looking at? We are looking at how bhakti also becomes sadhanam. And also he has proven in the point that bhakti is sadhya. Okay? So over here, all the shlokas which are presently being quoted is where bhakti is called as sadhanam. Now he shows that bhakti also becomes sadhanam for knowledge. Till now, bhakti was the sadhanam to remove all the papa. So Bhagavad Gita shows that how bhakti becomes the sadhanam even for knowledge. Generally, we have this Vedantins, as we are. No, knowledge is something that is pramananishta. Pramananishta. But Bhagavan Shri Krishna, whenever he says about Jnananishta, he does not bring about any pramana prameya vyavahara and vyapara. I think there are some people who are already here in the audience. Who are there, who know this. I think Vibhaji is there, right? Vibhaji? Anyway, so you people must have heard that knowledge is something, if you have this, because these eyes are the pramanas, the tools of knowing. If you have the eyes and they are defectless, then the knowledge that this is the pot will take place. You have nothing to do. So knowledge takes place through pramana and prameya vyavahara. But this kind of an argument and this kind of a discussion is not brought about in whole of Bhagavad Gita by Bhagavan. Wherever he has to say that knowledge will be generated, he says through bhakti. Or he says, go to the teacher. Upadekshanti te jnanam janinas tattvadarshinaha. Or even in the same place, in the 4th chapter, Bhagavan, when he has to say how knowledge can be attained, he says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara sanyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. Now, even when he has to say how the knowledge and who is the person who will attain it, Shraddhavan. So look at this. Shraddhavan, then labhate jnanam tatpara sanyatendriyaha. Now, the second qualification is that that person should be totally dedicated to it. Okay, tatparaha, sanyatendriyaha, who has mastered his indriyas, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, etc. Antarbhaya indriyas. Jnanam labdva param shantim, and thus the knowledge will be attained, and this knowledge, having attained the knowledge, para shanti is attained. Now look at that. In this whole thing, Krishna Bhagavan does not discuss anywhere that it is pramana prameya vyavahara. He says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara sanyatendriyaha. So now we have to understand that yes, that pramana prameya vyavahara will also be able to generate the knowledge only when this person is endowed with all these things. So in Bhagavad Gita, we find bhakti is also presented as the means of knowledge. As the means of knowledge. How? Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Now directly, bhaktya mam abhijan, mam parmeshwaram abhijanati. Yavan yaschasmi tattvataha. Tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. And thus, having known me, he becomes one with me. Yeti ityadayaha. Atra anya sadhanattvena sakshad apurusharthatvam spashtameva uktam. So over here, what do we discover about bhakti is that bhakti is the sadhana. Okay, whether it is to remove all the sins, whether it is to attain even samadhi, whether it is to attain swarga or vaikuntha, etc. So bhakti becomes the sadhanam. And if it is sadhanam, then it is not sakshat purushartha. Correct? You desire a sadhanam because that sadhanam leads you to the sadhyam. So actually the desire is for the sadhyam. And in order to achieve the sadhyam, you desire sadhanam. So over here, anya sadhanatvena, because bhakti has become sadhanam for something else, bhakti does not have sakshat purushartha. Ityuktam. And so what was earlier shown in two ways, that bhakti is a sadhyam. Now also bhakti becomes sadhanam. Atra uchyate. Now, sir, since you have raised this question, Purvapakshi, that bhakti is shown also as sadhanam, let me tell you that bhakti dvaividhyam, that there is, the bhakti has got this two dimensions. Dvaividhyam. What are those? Halasadhana bhedena bhakti dvaividhyo upapattehe adoshaha. Now this bhakti can be understood as twofold, dvaividhya. two types, two dimensions, or whatever word that you may like, Dvaividyam of bhakti. And what is the factor because of which you are saying that bhakti now becomes dvividha, two types, phala sadhana bhedena. Phalam and sadhanam, sadhya and sadhana bhedena, bhakti dvaividya can be explained and understood. Upapatte. And therefore there is no dosha in that. Dosha means any defect, any fault. Because if there is any fault, then you have a reason to refuse it. Tatha hi bhajanam antakaranasya. So this is, maybe I will just stop over here and conclude it over here by giving you, though there is a lot, but this should also suffice. My whole idea is not so that we can become scholars and things like that, but we can carry a message in our life. What transforms is your understanding. It is not your information which transforms. Tatha hi bhajanam antakaranasya bhagvadakarata rupam bhakti hi iti bhava vyutpatya bhakti shabdena phalam abhidhiyate. Now the word bhakti also can be grammatically understood in two ways. Bhava vyutpatti and karana vyutpatti. Okay. So through bhava vyutpatti, what do we understand about the word bhakti? Because that it comes from the word, root is bhaj. What is the root word? The root bhaj. Bhaja sevayam. Dhatu. So that bhajanam, bhajate, bhajanti, bhajasva, all these words will come from that word bhaja. So also bhakti. Bhajanam antakaranasya bhagvadakarata rupam bhakti. What is called as bhakti or bhajanam, which means when you are antakarana, pay attention to this. This is a very, very, we are not easily going to find anything like this. Now this is something that, teacher like Madhusudan Saraswati only can bring a distilled understanding to us. Very refined, very distilled he has brought. So, bhajanam antakaranasya bhagvadakarata rupam bhakti. What is called as bhakti? When your antakaran itself has transformed into bhagvadakara. I will explain you this thing. How do you know that this is a pot? How does the pot knowledge take place? If your antakarana vritti does not take the shape of the pot, will you be, without that cognition, will you ever have an experience of the pot? Without the cognition taking the shape of the pot, which in our common parlance we may say, I have registered that there is a pot. I have seen there is a pot. I know there is a pot. We may use these words, but actually what is taking place is that the vritti, and the vritti of the antakarana is taking the shape of the pot, which is called as ghatakara vritti. What is it becoming? Ghatakara vritti. So thus, when the antakarana vritti becomes of that shape, then you have that experience. So also over here, when the antakaran becomes bhagvadakara, the form of God, bhagvadakarata rupam, that itself is called as bhakti. Okay? But over here, brahmakara vritti, over here in bhakti, they have bhagvadakara vritti. There is a little difference, but this is okay. And that is what is called as bhajanam. You know, especially here in North India, around Ganga, on the bank of Ganga, where we have all the monasteries and Mahatmas living. This is the language. The Mahatmas will ask, how is your bhajan going on? That bhajan does not mean that, with symbols and all that you're singing. That bhajana means that is your antakarana now able to shape itself into Brahmakara vritti or not. Bhagavadarata rupam bhakti iti bhava vyutpatya bhakti shabdena phalam abhidhiyate. Through this bhava vyutpatti, what are we able to understand? Phalam sadhyam. Tasya cha niratishaya pumarthatvat purvoktavadanam pramanyam avyahatam. Now all those pramanas which were presented to you from Bhagavad Purana and Bhagavad Gita, etc., this antakarana taking the shape of Bhagavan is now what is called as bhakti, and it is niratishaya purushartha, parama purushartha. Iti avyahatam. It is now that is well established and it is nowhere shaken. Tathacha. Now karana vyutpatti, which will show you the word bhakti as the sadhanam. Tathacha bhajyate sevyate bhagavadakaram antakaranam kriyate anaya. You understand now? There is this karana vyutpatti. How? Bhajyate. Bhajyate means sevyate. Sevyate means bhagavadakaram antakaranam kriyate anaya. Bhakti is that by which the antakarana of a person now assumes the shape, becomes the shape in shape of God. So it is not imagination, because when you perceive the pot, your antakarana also becomes ghatakara vritti. That does not mean that it is imagination. No, it is not imagination. It is perceiving a fact. So also over here, when the antakarana takes place, becomes the shape of God, as Bhagavan. Now that which is able to shape the antakarana in this way, now therefore bhakti becomes the sadhanam, the tool over here. Iti karana vyutpatya bhakti shabdena Shravana Kirtanadi sadhanam abhidhiyate. Now Shravana, Kirtana, etc., that becomes the sadhanam, and that is also called as bhakti. And therefore bhakti has got this twofold meanings, encased in that one word. And how are these both the meanings valid and revealed? One is through karana vyutpatti and one is through bhava vyutpatti. That understanding of the bhakti which comes through bhava vyutpatti allows us to understand bhakti as the sadhyam, whereas that understanding which comes through the karana vyutpatti allows us to have bhakti as the sadhanam. Thus bhakti is sadhyam as well as bhakti is sadhanam, and this all remains unrefuted everywhere. Now, the rest of the text goes into great intricacies of bhakti. And he has brought this distilled understanding and created this book called as the Bhakti Rasayanam from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad Mahapurana. So we are indebted to Madhusudan Saraswati for bringing us this understanding, exposing us to this understanding of the Shastra, wherein now we understand what is the true goal of our life is to have devotion for Bhagavan. That is it. Why? Because when this Bhagavan is seated in your heart, everything becomes auspicious all around you. once again, I will conclude this particular discourse with the same verse with which I began. Sarvada sarvakaryeshu nasti tesham amangalam yesham hridayastho bhagavan mangalayatano hari. Sarvada sarvakaryeshu nasti tesham amangalam yesham hridayastho bhagavan mangalayatano hari. Therefore, yena kena prakarena, let this God, Paramatma, come and be seated in our lives, in our heart. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Eshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmiti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyaptadeha Dakshinam Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all. Thank you very much.